All right, let's take a look at this assignment. Only one person's turned it in, and they did not do the complete assignment. So I'll make sure everybody understands this assignment. Basically, you're going to find two iconic or historically significant photographs that you would like to recreate. So just finding something that's historical, yeah, you want to make sure it's something iconic that people can recognize. And there's many of them. There's the Marilyn Monroe one, and I'll be showing you some ideas in a second. One photo should be before 1940, and the other one should be from the period 1940 to the present. So try to choose two different types of photos: landscape or photograph, portrait, street scene, or still life, for example. Choose subjects that you can find a way, even if it's very creative, to recreate. So if you find something and you like it, but you don't think you can recreate it, don't use that photo. All right? Use something that's going to be simple to recreate. It doesn't have to be hard. So then you can research each of the two photographs. You can find out who took the photograph, where it was taken, when it was taken, how they reproduced the photograph. So that means what was the f-stop, what was the shutter speed, um, what else is there? What is there special lighting? You know, what was going on? So how did they? What was the mechanical pieces for them to take this photograph with? All right, and then what was the photographer's motivation was? So then you're gonna write two one-page essays, one about each photographs. So I will bring back the one-page essays. I'll bring it if you do a good paragraph, two paragraphs. It doesn't have to be a full page, but I do want this information in there. So a brief description of the photographer and their body of work, the technology used to make the photograph, how the photograph represents a work of art, and how the style of the photo fits in with the historical trends in photography at the time it was made. All right, so these are things that you should have been getting in the text and some of that information from the text and stuff. Now you're going to take it and actually apply it. All right, so then they want you to find people, places, or things that represent what's shown in the photograph. Use your camera to experiment and try to come up with a photograph that's as close as possible to your original. You need to look at the lighting and try to replicate what the original photographer did with the lighting. You want to look at the shapes, make them similar. Does it have to be the exact same thing? No. But it needs to be similar enough that people have to look twice at it. Perhaps you can have a friend pose for a portrait or pretend to be a famous athlete to make your photo recreation. Okay, this is coronavirus time, right? So if you cannot get a friend or you don't have a family member to help you out with this, use a teddy bear, use a toy, use or do a different type of photograph. All right? Like I said, if you're going to have problems recreating it, don't do that photograph. Do a different one. You want to have some fun with it, but you do want to do it so it can sit side by side with the original and be obvious that it's a copy. So you can tell, see what the differences are, but you can also look at it and say, oh yeah, they did the same lighting, they did the same shapes, they did whatever. So, and then you have to put it into your folder. All right. If you do not have a working portfolio folder, I suggest you make one. In Google Docs, say Photography 1A, and you start putting all your stuff in that folder, and you share that folder and your subsequent stuff with me. So I have some examples for you. So in here, this is very cute. This is a 3-year-old who went and she did Princess Leia. Um, so here she is doing a photograph of Ellen DeGeneres. Okay, so here she is with Meryl Streep. Sorry, and a couple other ones. Here's Betty White. All right, so she's showing her grandmother strong women for because her grandma had to do things. That one I love. That one is the one I love. All right, and then cancer free. So, but that gives you an idea. Here's one here. This one they use Legos to recreate these photographs. Okay, can you use Legos? Yeah, it will work. If you got Legos and it works, go for it. See, some of them you have to be a little more creative and a little more working with. So this is very fun. This is actually, that should be a Skoglund artwork or portrait. Here's somebody here, you got him, he's going to win the race there. There's a great athlete one. So you can do sports ones. You can do, this was very iconic way back in the day and stuff. They were all sitting on the scaffolding right there having lunch. It was very scary. So this one as well is extremely, the flag over Iwo Jima. That's a little bit rude. I don't want to see that one. But here's one with tanks, making tanks, and someone standing in front of tanks and trying to stop them. This one's very iconic. It's the end of the war, and that was the big old kiss. So that was John Lennon and Yoko Ono. All right, so you can see there's a variety here. So those are some of them. And then here's some other ones, which are very famous ones. And again, you can see this is from a fun one. I don't know if I'd say this is a great recreation of it, but it does do it. You got the general idea. That one's great. You can see lots of fun things there. Instead of the cigarette holder, she's got a rose, but she still has all the fancy stuff on, and then some stuff in front of her. All right, this was a kind of door portrait. There's our kiss again, but there's Marilyn Monroe and a little one with the hair, the thing going. Here's that one. So again, you can see sports portrait with baby. That's sort of fun. Here's somebody who used friends to help them. They put helmets on and did that Iwo Jima one. Here's the same one again with lifeguards having some fun. All right. Oh, E.T. That's funny. Okay. So again, not all these would fit, but you got some that are real close to the 40s and some that are past the 40s. Those are the Beatles. In case you didn't know, that was one of their album thingies. That's sort of fun with the military. So you can see, again, I think there's one more. Yep, Bored Panda had one. I like Bored Panda. This one's fun. They used John Malkovich for all of these, which is crazy. You gotta really look at them. So here's your original Dorothea Lange one, and here's that one. And this was from the Great Depression, so that would be one of your early ones. So this is Dolly, 54, so it would be after the 40s. Again, you're 73 going with it, and after the 40s, so you still have to come up with that. Very iconic Bette Davis poster, but even so, the lighting is the same, everything's the same, except the person's different. They went and they messed up his hair, they did crazy things. This one was sort of funny because he made different faces, and they had to Photoshop some of that in there. I don't know, I think they would have had to Photoshop this one because of the double, but this one, of course, you can see he's all dressed up and everything. So that's really scary, sort of, on some of these. But again, most of these are after the 40s and such, but not that one, not that one. But some of these, this one here is way before the 40s right there. That's a good one. So there's a Joker. You can see that from Jack Nicholson. That was crazy. So anyway, and as you're looking at stuff, yes, you're going to see some things that are a little bit questionable on nudity and such, but that would be because it's an artwork. So just go through, if you're offended, just go through it quickly. Don't look at that one. And I better not see anything like that in any of your pictures. But again, that should give you a good idea of what's needed in this assignment. You can have fun with it. It doesn't have to be exactly the same. You just want the same, similar shapes and stuff. And again, one needs to be before the 1940s and one needs to be after the 1940s, all the way up to modern day So that gives you a lot of leeway. Okay? So hopefully that should help you out and get you through this assignment and just really have fun with it. I mean, it can be a little crazy and a little fun. Okay? So, so good luck with that, and I'm looking forward to seeing these. And if they turn out really cool, I will put them on someplace for you guys to access and take a look. All right, maybe I'll do a gallery in my snapshot thing for you guys to check it out and see what everybody's done. Okay, because that would be a fun one to share with everybody.